there's stuff that we need to get into. And I do think it's important. And I will not be putting up names because it's not important. It's just adding to things that aren't helpful for anyone, and it's just stupid. Anyway. And I'm going to add this disclaimer for people who want to make me, what I'm doing and what I'm about to talk about, the same thing. I have actually been through narcissistic abuse, borderline abuse, family abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, what have you. These are not things that I'm just saying. And it did take me a very long time to get over. And I've also talked about on my channel and other channels that I've had that are gone, that the moment I began to heal was when I started taking responsibility. Taking responsibility is today called victim blaming. That if you assign any autonomy to a person, that is victim blaming. That is the same thing as saying you deserve it, which is not the same thing. And just that in itself is just a way for people to escape. We saw in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation, two people can be wrong. There are, and I'm not saying this about them, but I'm going on to another part, and then I'll go back to that. Two narcissists can be in a relationship. That's why I don't play this game where, well, this person hit more, or this person didn't hit more, or this person cheated and this one didn't. This one only screamed. Or I don't get into that. Why don't I get into that? Because I had to recognize as a past codependent that I was just as manipulative, deceitful in many ways. Maybe not just as, or I just as, but not in the same ways. And not using the same tactics. Not as successful at all, but I can tell you that. But, was deceitful, manipulative, conniving, bitching, wanting a pity party, wanting an audience, certain things. Maybe not just as much, not in the same ways, not using the same tactics, but I was still doing it. You can be codependent and just as abusive, just as manipulative, just as lying, just as controlling. That's another one. I was very controlling. And a lot of these codependent people are calling themselves people pleasers. That's not a people pleaser. Saying that, being a people pleaser is just a polite way of saying you were a deceitful manipulator. You were a deceitful manipulator for your own purposes. And I've said many times too, or as well, you cannot blame the narcissist and the borderline for everything. If you grew up in a family, I'm going to say this for all the victim blamers, and if you grew up in a family, you have those traits. If you are around somebody for any length of time, meaning a marriage that lasted for a year at most, or least anyway, and you were in a relationship for 2, 3, 4, because the longest length nowadays is 2 years. But 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, decades upon decades. You have those traits as well now. There are people who are abused, and I'm saying that from personal experience, who behave just the same way. Because you're learning from your abuser. This is the way you operate. This is okay. Or, and I made my video about Danae, who I just think is just as manipulative in the mastermind behind Derek Jackson's stuff. They're two peas in a pod. But you can have bad things happen to you and not actually be mad at the bad things. You're mad that you couldn't do them as effectively as this other person did. And also, you can also say or think, I'm not mad at the behavior. What is the behavior? Cheating, hitting, lying, stealing, cursing, name calling, racism, whatever it is. Smear campaigns. Because I've seen a lot of so-called victims, and I'm not saying they weren't in any capacity, being very effective at smear campaigns. Masterfully good at them. But sit there and proclaim they're the only victim there, and they were just bashed into the dirt and had no choice in anything, and everything was taken from them, their heart, their mind, their soul, and they do nothing. It's them. But here you sit being masterfully good at not only captivating an audience, milking an audience, monetarily or emotionally or whatever, but also using smear campaigns effectively against people that disagree or question you the same way as this narcissist. Because that's what a narcissist do. That's what a disordered person does. You are on the shit list, you're going to get got. That's what an abuser does. You crossed me, you will get got. That's not what a victim says. Or somebody who's innocent and does nothing. Back to what I was saying. You can be mad at you can not be mad at a behavior, but be mad only because it happened to you. You're only mad because the person messed with the wrong one. If he'd slapped somebody else, fuck him. And there are a lot of situations I've seen like that. If this person shot this person, fuck him. If this person lied or slandered or bamboozled or embezzled against these people, fuck them. They deserve what they got. But if you do it to me, I'm a victim. And if somebody has the audacity to say, I deserve what I got, that's victim blaming. If somebody dares to say that I, the victim, played a part and a role in this, that's victim blaming. Because I'd reject this line that a victim plays no role in anything. Are there clear cases where that is true? Yes. There's also cases where people engaged in it, people were getting money together, so you believe, people who feel this way. If I'm Bugsy Siegel and I willingly join a mafia gang with Lucky Luciano, I'm a victim because my brains got blown. But nobody else is the victim who I willingly blew the brains out of. Those aren't victims, I am. Who willingly engaged in this, took a fraction of the money, was getting hoes and bitches, but somehow in this I'm a victim. Only because something bad happened. Because the same, it was time to pay the piper. I made a deal with the devil and I just couldn't repay it. And somehow that makes me a victim. Is that what you think? That's what my question is to people who think everything is victim blaming or it's never the victim's fault. I would never look at Bugsy Siegel as a victim. And, well, there's no such thing as a perfect victim. That's not the point. That's a willing participant. There is a difference, and people need to learn that. There is a difference between a victim and a willing participant. If we're getting money together, I have another example. There was a married, he began unaliving people before he even got with this woman, but she was just messed up too. It was a UK case. And I can't remember the name of these people. I could look it up real quick. That's not it. Yep, this is them. Fred West and Rose West. That's that's who I was thinking of. Who rape, bondage, torture, and mutilation happened, which also included their daughters that they had together. There's people who I don't understand because they follow the Duluth model or whatever. That would say, and I'm not going to go through it. You can look it up yourself. It's Fred West and Rose West. It's on YouTube. I watched the documentary. There are people who would say she was the victim of that. Or she was a victim too. Doesn't matter that they were mainly women the target of this craziness and disgusting debauchery and whatever. She somehow is the victim of it. Nobody else is the victim, including the girls who she gave birth to. They're not the victims, or at least not the main ones. And the babysitter who in the documentary tells what happened because she was kidnapped and silliness and craziness and weirdness and grossness occurred. The wife is the victim. Rose West was the victim. And it's an attempt to remove all responsibility and accountability from women. Or at least certain ones, because oddly enough, the other women aren't victims in any of this. But, who I would say were the only victims. But, somehow because someone is married, particularly a woman, because we don't feel this way about men, nor should we, that if a woman is somehow connected to a man in any type of relationship way, she becomes the victim of whatever he's doing, even if they're both partaking in the same behavior, which was true in this case. She knows full well she's participating in it. Somehow she becomes the victim. Or a victim. Because that's the Duluth model. That's a model in psychology where if a woman is behaving in an abusive fashion, she's only doing that because she herself is being abused. So there is no responsibility for, which is what I've based my life on. There is no responsibility or accountability on the person who has been victimized, which in a sense she was earlier in her life. You can go look it up. Not by him, way before him. There's no responsibility on the victim's part that they need to go seek help and understand. And maybe if she wouldn't have wound up with the quack or the weirdo. Understand why you are attracted to certain people, why you are behaving or doing or saying or whatever, why you're doing these things. It's never wanting to understand self. It's only wanting to point the finger and judge somebody else and then give all of your autonomy to everyone else in society and not keep any of for yourself, because that way you can just blame everyone else. Everyone is supposed to be good. I don't have to be good. I don't have to be wise. I don't have to use any wisdom or correct judgment in any sense of the word. I don't have to I am required to do nothing, and nobody should require anything of me. Everyone else just needs to be good. And that is somebody who's not living in